What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to talk to you about spirituality and its relationship to modern religion. Um, a lot of people like to separate the two. It's not really separated. I seen a video the other day and it inspired me to make this video because I feel like we live in times where a lot more people are going to start to come to this conflict. Um, it's not anything new, like, everything under the sun, that type of shit, but the main point is that there's a lot of people who are going to reach this crossroads in their life where they have a conflict between spirituality and modern religion. Um, and I see a lot of things um, that just frustrate me when it comes to this. And anything you're passionate about, you're bound to get frustrated. Emotion is good. We just live in such a gray, dull society these days. Everything's colorful and dull at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, we live in a society where it's become so shallow and surface from man worship, celebrity worship, money worship. Everybody's worshiping everything but God and nature. Um, and that's another bugaboo. Like, people, because you appreciate nature, somehow you worship the devil. Because you want to ground in nature, because you have a love and appreciation for Mother Nature, all of a sudden you're not talking right. Well, newsflash, maybe if we didn't push that message, maybe our planet would be in better shape than it is right now. We'll push Mother Nature to a point where she will cleanse herself. She will get rid of the problem. Everything is connected. Uh, the person in the video was saying that they feel that way, like this. It's like one consciousness. Everything is connected. The trees are a lot more like you than they're not. The animals are a lot more like you than they're not. They and spirituality within itself, spiritualism is defined religiously. So to me, in my opinion, it's not really a conflict at all. They're hand in hand. All spirituality really is the acknowledgement that your soul exists, that you have a spirit. And Christian, they talk about the Holy Spirit, and like Christian and Catholics. And in Hinduism, they have another word for it, but a lot of religions is common that you'll find um, there's a similar element of this Trinity that is worship. Just like three, everybody sees three as like Masonic and demonic and devil worship, but three is represented everywhere. But then in the same respect, Christians will tell you numerology is devil worship. You guys practice numerology. You just don't. You're saying two of the same things at the same time that have opposite meanings. It's contradiction. And I'm not trying to, even though I do a lot for good reason, I'm not trying to pick on Christianity. I'm just saying you're misleading an entire group of people, and you're contradicting yourself because you want so bad to be right. You want so bad to be superior. And that's why I'm really hyped up about this topic specifically, because there's just so much bullshit that gets spread on the internet and from people's own personal grudges and resentments and fears and insecurities, that everything gets muddied up. You can't really have a relationship with anybody or talk to anybody in a philosophical, spiritual, like we're all trying to find the same thing. We're not, but we turn everything into a race. We turn everything into a competition. And that just goes to show me, if you're a person who's preaching spirituality or any type of religion and you behave that way, where you're like, oh no, my race is superior. We were here first. We did this first. This is our tradition. It's like Are you really for the greater good of the human race, or are you just worried about your own ego and benefit? The Catholic and Christian crusaders did that to a lot of cultures and races, not just one. They did that to a lot. And if you go back far enough, what you're going to find is tribalism amongst all races. Okay? Don't pick and choose what history you want to read because it suits your narrative and soothes your ego and soothes your insecurity, because that's all your ego is really derived from, is your lies, your fears, and your insecurities. If you didn't have those three things, you wouldn't have the ego problem. Also, if you're going to get up and talk to people about God and Christian and Catholic and Muslim and Hinduism and spirituality and Wiccan and whatever, Haitian, African, Mayan, Spanish, I don't care. If you're going to get up there and talk about it, you need to do your shadow work. If you do your shadow work, you're not going to come with that energy. You're not going to come with the energy of, we're better than you, you stole everything from us, and we're better than you. You're not going to come with that energy. That's the trick. That's what the government does to you. And you let them do it. Because you turn the hate towards your own people. You turn the hate towards your fellow man and the common citizens who have all been lied to. We've all been stolen from and lied to by the same types. It's not some new thing. And before there was this oppressor over top of everybody, there was oppressors in every tribe. There was different tribes that were oppressing other tribes and fighting with other tribes. It's not new news. And the truth is, a lot of modern religion stole a lot of their practices and ways from the tribes and the way they practice. They adopted over the years. So much of Wiccan has been adopted. So much of African tribalism has been adopted. So much of the Mayan ways and the Mayan beliefs have been adopted. So if you look through the course of history, there's a lot of hijacking. If you look back in the 90s, what was going on with Haiti, there was a lot of hijacking going on, a lot of spiritual hijacking going on. So it's not synonymous to one special superior master race. That's make-believe. That's opposite of any god or any deity you pray to. I don't care who you pray to. No deity stands for that. Even God didn't say anything about Christian. God didn't say during the end times or revelations, when the instructions were given out and the winds came and the storms came and then Abaddon came and then Jesus came and ushered in the four horsemen. It wasn't, what do you guys think that was? It wasn't a anybody that isn't Christian, we're going to cleanse, we're going to get rid of them. That's not what it said. It was anybody who doesn't wear the mark, anybody who doesn't worship God, not Christianity, not Catholicism, not whatever African tribe, Celtic tribe, Haitian tribe. No, that's not it. That's not what it says. It says God. And God exists regardless of what name you put on it. One true God. So if you believe in spirits and energy, then that's what matters the most. Your intent, your energy, the way you live, facing your lies, facing your hatred, facing your envy, facing your insecurities, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, forgiving your parents, letting go, not being attached with manly ways, worldly ways, because everybody's a sinner. Everybody's done things that they're ashamed of. Everybody's a part of something that they shouldn't be. All people have their battles, and that's the humility of life, because nobody was put here to be perfect. Everybody was put here to go through a struggle, to overcome, to reach out for their God and get closer to their God. Um, even Satanists, I feel like I don't condone, but I also don't condemn, because they're all looking for something. And how many of them are going to convert? And to be fair, living in a world like this, it's not hard to see why some people will run so far from Christianity and Catholicism that they would run that far. It's actually sad. And if I was some kind of mega church preacher, or if I was some respectable person, it would sadden me that society has gone this far away from God, that we're just full out worshiping the devil, whether you realize it or not. It's in your TV, it's in your shows, it's in your music, it's in your kids' video games, it's everywhere. You can't get away from it. And the creators here on earth, the content creators, the entertainers, your government, they go out of their way to give that to you. And you ask yourself why. And if it does the numbers to reflect, then what's that say about us? This is why I talk about the boycott shit, because we complain about things, but we feed into it. A lot of the stuff that was going on with Jeffrey Epstein on the island was energy. He was, listen to his interview. You know what I'm saying? And pay attention to what he wanted to talk about versus what the interviewer wanted to talk about. And look, you got to learn how to read between the lines and read into things, because people aren't just going to spoon feed you all day long. That's why I don't spoon feed you. That's why I give you sources and give you places to look for yourself, because I want you to educate yourself, because your spiritual journey and your walk on life, you are your own universe. You're here all by yourself. You just don't realize it. If you lose the individual, group consciousness becomes a facade. It becomes group think. Group think replaces the consciousness. And that's dangerous. That's why we are where we are right now. It's crazy to me to see all the people who oppose our president, but a few years ago, you everywhere you looked. I'm gonna tell you what I noticed though. I don't see the same amount of signs, the same amount of bumper stickers, the same amount of yeehaw and all that other shit. I don't see the same minorities who got tricked and started to fall into it and go for it. I'm not seeing all that today. Fuck with the TV shows. You go outside and ride around and see if you see that same celebration, that same sporting it like a gang or something. You know what I mean? Like it's like a football team. You don't see that same thing. You know, it's kind of like when somebody's team don't make the playoffs and they're quiet and they're not wearing their jerseys anymore. That's like the same, but we see that every election. This isn't some new thing. And that's the detriment to us, because we get so caught up in the third temptation. I talked about it in my last video. We are frozen in the final temptation, the man worship, the idol worship, the celebrity worship, the politician worship, the preacher worship. We worship everything but God. And you're only supposed to worship God. You're not supposed to worship anybody or anything else. And it's just a lot of hypocrisy, because it's like I said, because everybody, a lot of these religious people never even heard of shadow work, let alone doing it, because they think everything's witchcraft and demonic, because they've been brainwashed. They don't read the Bible to interpret for themselves. They read the Bible to suit their narratives, just like during slavery when everybody was reading the Bible to the slaves and basically brainwashing them to think that they were less than. Meanwhile, they come from the biggest continent on earth. And America still upholds that same mentality where you got this inferiority complex being masqueraded as a superiority complex from both sides, and it's ass backwards. None of it makes any sense. We all come from tribes, and if you go back far enough, we're all pretty much come from the same thing. Modernism is what you see, and it gets worse and worse and worse every generation because we've peaked. There's nothing else to do other than to tell the truth, and your government and the celebrities are never going to do that. Think about it right now. You got all this heinous shit going on. Where's the celebrities at? You know, back in the day, we had celebrities that would get up, a lot of them that would get up and speak out against stuff. I've noticed that died down over the years. That I don't see nobody speaking out. I don't see these celebrities speaking out. So why are we going to keep listening to them? And why are we going to keep following their ideologies? It's all about control. If they keep us hating each other and they give us enough things to fight over, we won't have time to worry about the real problem, which is them. It's like Pink Floyd tried to tell y'all a long time ago, us and them. That's all it is. And this is something that's been building. This isn't a new thing. It's just a matter of, were you ahead of the curve? Were you on time? Or are you behind? If you're just waking up today, you're behind the curve, and you got so much information you have to consume now to catch up. And this is the danger of when your government and the CIA trouts around terms like conspiracy theory, and the poster child for conspiracy theory is a paranoid schizophrenic in the nut house. That's a trick. They don't want you looking into things, so they humiliate and shame you. And you don't think that's how they operate, right? But today we're seeing that's exactly how they operate, through humiliation and shame. They like to shame people. They like to humiliate people. And you see it in communities. They do the same thing. They get a kick out of it. It's their favorite thing to do. But then if you pull their card, they're, oh. So it's a problem. And they spread it like a disease. They spread hatred like a disease. And we keep falling for it because we're in competition constantly, and that's not healthy. Collaboration is what gets us to the mountaintop, not competition. There's nothing to compete over. That's all made up too. They really got people believing that we're overpopulated. That's how deep it gets, where people are going and getting sterilized because they feel like we're overpopulated. They've tricked them that bad. Go look up how much of the landmass we actually occupy. And then go look up how much of the landmass is commercial farming, when we could all just have our own little farm on our land. But then what happened with that? They passed all these laws and bills and regulations. You can't do anything. You're not allowed to take care of yourself. They make it that way. And everybody's just cool with it. And the people who were once citizens who enforced the law sell out and enforce it. So you don't uphold your citizenship. You just uphold your worshiping the government. You're a slave to the government, no matter what part of the ladder you're on. If you're not the billionaires, you're a slave to the government. And they use religion as a part of that control. So what I would suggest is that we start to tie the two together, because that's all it really is. It's just the science of the soul. That we believe we have a spirit and a soul to the point that it's it's not intangible. We believe it to be scientific. So it's not a And people have done many experiments, many studies, and they have a lot of compelling evidence that that is in fact true. And that goes back as for a very long time. Um, is it quite plausible that they want to brainwash you and trick you and tell you that none of these things are real, so you don't realize how gifted you actually are? Is it supernatural if you're born with it and you just have to learn how to access it? And if modern religions are a microcosm of our government, so they're ran that way, and they preach control and brainwashing, and you got to do it my way or the highway, how are you ever going to learn? How are you ever going to learn how to tap in? And there's a lot of people who have done experiments on that too. I talked about it in one of my videos before about the power of intention, how powerful your intention is. I talk about it a lot because I'm never going to let it go, because it's what matters more than anything. If it's true, if you're saying my intentions were and it's true, your energy is so powerful. And the bombs and the guns, that's just fear tactics. That's not the game they play anymore. It's all derived from what we have within, and they're trying to manufacture it and use it because they want something that's 100% bankable every single time, something they can see. So they get the inspiration from what we already have within, Stargate and everything else that they studied, and then they weaponize it. And you're actually holding a piece of it in your hand right now. They figured out how to manufacture it in a false way. So they falsified our spiritual and mental alignment. They've hijacked it and made a plastic version of it. That's the devil, man. And then telling us it's not real. They tell us it's not real. But they spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on studying it. But it's not real. And they've been studying it for who knows how long. If you look into other countries and you're not force-fed propaganda and lies, it could go all the way back to however far back you can go. It's people all throughout history who have talked about this, experimented with this, did enough to convince me. And then as a soul and an individual myself, I grow up and have my own experiences that just cannot be explained. And then as soon as I start to do it with intent, now all of a sudden I can do this shit all day long. And that's put me at so much peace, because it's like, man, I know, and I knew all along, and I didn't let anybody tell me otherwise. You don't gotta wait for some shit to get leaked to know the truth. You just gotta stop being afraid of what somebody's gonna say or think about you. Stop trying to be popular and be yourself, and go with what you know is in your gut, your intuition, your heart. Because that groupthink shit is what got us right here. Because people still think Republican and Democrat is the answer. Just like people think there's some evil religion versus some good religion. Well, they all masquerade then, because none of them are outright in the open talking about, yeah, I worship Lucifer. So it's all fake. It's all bullshit. It's just an excuse. Just like when the Puritans came over here and they decided to burn about 250 of them alive, tied to a stake. And they said because they wouldn't repeat their oath to this religion, this Catholic and Christian concept. They refused. They'd rather be burned alive than conform. And that's why I said, man, stop believing the lies. Like, they've done this to everybody. In the 1400s, my people, where I'm mostly derived from, my ancestors, my roots, where they go if I follow them, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. That's where my DNA is made up from. They've been rebelling against the crown since the 1400s. But they actually rebelled on their own, though. So this isn't some new concept where the people of England were just oppressing certain people. It's a takeover. It's expansion. That's all this is. That's all America is. And I try to tell people that. And if you read and pay attention, you'll see it for yourself. It's pretty obvious. It's not that hard to understand. It was just greed caused the actual conflict, and they had a war over it, and we won and kept the land. It's not that complex, but I tell you what, it didn't have shit to do with iced tea. And the fact that we still celebrate that shit like we have the right to at this point is ridiculous to me, because everything I do now is taxed fucking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. You can't even die and leave something to somebody without them stealing it. And that money's already been taxed 2 or 3 different times. If you and me sat down and came up with this whole insurance thing, they'd lock us up for fraud and say it was a pyramid scheme. You can go and gamble and spend all your money you want to with them, but if you do a raffle online, that's considered illegal. You see what I mean? It's all about control. That's all prohibition was. That's all the marijuana shit was all about. That's all anything's about. It's about control and money. It's not about anything else. And we need to see that and understand that. And instead of infighting, we need to stand together, and we all need to remember our roots. It doesn't mean you can't be a Christian, but stop stressing yourself out about a bunch of lies. And stop denying yourself of what you're capable of. Be Christ-like. Christ performed miracles. He was a healer. He didn't judge. He accepted people of all walks of life. He tried to teach people how to do things. He tried to show people the way. So instead of listening to a preacher, I go read what Jesus said in the Bible. Don't burn incense and all that. Catholics do it. They've been doing it forever. Why are you picking on people who practice Wicca? Can't burn sage? Like, what are you talking about? Sage is a herb. It has healing properties. They just lie to you, man, because they want control. They want to be the man that knows everything. And nobody knows shit for real. We're all trying to figure it out. And the main reason is because we've mostly been lied to our entire existence. It don't have to be that way. A righteous government, like we pretend to be all the time, and like the patriot shit has everybody believing, we ain't righteous. A righteous government tells you the truth. And if they can't tell you the truth for an important reason, they damn sure ain't going to tell you the opposite and tell you a bunch of lies that fuck you up and take you off your path. That's intentional. They do it on purpose. Same thing with racism and hatred for other cultures and hatred for other religions. And I don't hate the Muslims. I don't hate anybody in the Middle East. I don't hate Africans. I don't hate blacks. I don't hate Mexicans. I don't hate Spanish. I don't hate nobody. I don't even hate Jews. Because you're talking about an entire race of people. Whatever they do, that's their karma. And if we actually tapped in, we could fight back. They just tell us that we can't. There's a lot of shit we could do. We could boycott the billionaires. We could protest the polls and demand better representation, demand our own little cleansing. and you can work in the spirit. You can pray to God. But you have to have intent. The more intent you have, the more it works. And that's what they don't want you to know. Just like they don't want you to know the truth about everything because it wouldn't stand. If I know a lot of things, and I knew a long time ago that people are just now subscribing to and starting to see and acknowledge. Now, then but instead of worrying about that, I mostly worry about what I don't know still. So imagine how shocked all those people are that are learning stuff that I knew 15 years ago and many others. Imagine the shock on all of us if we just got shown the whole truth one day. It wouldn't be pretty. And they wouldn't have an army left to fight for them, besides the sheep in the Pentagon that do everything they say. They'd have to nuke their own country. That's how bad it would be if we actually saw the whole truth. And everybody's talking backwards. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Did they start the war to cover up the files, or the vice versa? Are the files a distraction to cover up that they're going to try to take us to World War III? I don't know which scenario is worse. And as far as Epstein Island goes, there's another one happening right now. Multiple. And before Epstein Island, there was other ones already happening. You think the people in Israel and Jeffrey Epstein were the first people in different countries to run blackmail operations against the United States officials? Because they're not. You can look it up for yourself. You think the people who got killed over it this go around were the only ones to get killed over it? And don't listen to that guy in the CIA who gets up here and says they don't kill people like that. Yes, they do. That's why you got to watch what you... If you read a report on something and something don't feel right in your gut, it's probably something not right about it. Doesn't mean you're right about what you think it is, but it means something's probably not what's there. Anytime you find somebody go missing and their hands get chopped off and they're trying to expose a blackmail operation, to me, I don't know who you're supposed to blame that on. You got somebody like Bob Lazar, who came out a long time ago and was telling people about the UFO stuff, and he ended up all of a sudden now he's a pimp and carrying submachine guns and he's some kind of big mafioso. So made up. Look at the guy. And that's because he wouldn't shut up. They do that to people all the time. It's not some new thing. And that's what's funny. They can go bust a guy like Bob Lazar, but they couldn't have busted the people on the Epstein files and from all the FBI data leaks that Hillary Clinton was involved in way back when, around the same time they were messing with Bob Lazar. So that's what's confusing to me, is it's pick and choose. That's why I always tell people you don't have no rights. Lawyers are telling you you don't have no rights. The lawyers of today that are on YouTube that are telling y'all about all the spyware shit, they're telling you right to your face you don't have no rights. And they're in law. You gonna believe them? Or are you gonna cling so deeply to this free America that you still believe in? It don't mean you can't love your country. But none of us came from here. The people that actually came from here are the people you see the least. Half of which they're trying to deport half of the time. Where you think them people come from? Where you think all these people are derived from? That were here before we came here. So if you're waking up to things and you want to get into your spirituality, you don't have to feel guilty because you also believe in God and Jesus. I do too. I believe in many prophets. I don't discount and I'm not saying Jesus was just a prophet. I'm not going to go that far. But by definition, he was also that. So I believe there's prophets in a lot of different time periods and different places. That book doesn't focus on everything. That book is small in comparison to the history it's trying to cover. So I like to read it. I like to look into all the things because that's how I find myself more balanced. That's how I find myself not subscribing to the hatred and the lies and actually respecting and appreciating other people. That's that tolerance. And America is the fakest tolerant place I've ever been in because we just pretend that we're tolerant. But it's weird because it's like people all speaking up, wanting their voice to be heard, and they want to not be oppressed and they want to be considered equal. And then they'll turn right around out of the other side of their mouth and say they're superior and they're chosen and over everybody else. And their race is this and their race is the best. And we do this and we have this. And can't do shit like that because for one, it's bullshit. And for two, it's not conducive to the change that you're actually asking for, which is more important than your ego. And you see that. You got people who say Jesus was white. You got people who say Jesus was black, and that's the true Jesus, and they're the true race. They're the superior race. But from what I read, and then what a whole nother group of people say, Jesus was Middle Eastern. Probably looked more like the people that we're dropping bombs on right fucking now than he did me or anybody else, to be frank. If we're taking it literal and if we're assuming a whole lot. A lot of assumptions. Would you not pray to Jesus if God showed you and he so happened to be white and that was the significance that they dropped? That's what got all the attention? Because he's white in a place that's brown and he's the only one? Not likely. But anytime you get a mixed race, what do you usually get? Some complexion of tan, beige, right? Did he look like that maybe? Was Jesus all? Because that's kind of what I read. You know what I mean? Like, why do we care? Why does it matter? To me, it's a point of interest and curiosity that excites me and actually brings me joy. It's not something that makes me rage and makes me angry and makes me want to argue that he was white because I don't really care what he was. I don't really have pride over something that I didn't have any control on. Like, George Carlin talked about it and a lot of people respect him. I really wish they would start sharing more than just his exposing the government because he exposes all this shit. A lot of things he exposes. Why are we so proud about shit that we didn't actually accomplish, that we have no control over, that we were just born that way? And why do we hate people for the same? For the way they were just born? Like they had any choosing or control. Like that's going to make their life better or yours. Not really. And what you're actually doing, and this is why I'm talking about this spirituality thing, you're screwing up big time when you do stuff like that. I'm just going to let you know. You're ruining your spiritual walk, harboring so much hatred for other people based upon false ideology. And that's a lot of what Trump exposed. That it's still alive and well. That brainwashing's still alive and well. That psyops are still alive and well. That corruption's still alive and well. That gullibility is still alive and well. That lack of education, knowledge, and understanding and critical thinking skills still alive and well. Trending in the wrong direction, even though we think we're the woke era. And that's because of that third temptation. That's why I talked about it in my last video. Too much man worship, too much celebrity worship, too much groupthink, too much follow the leader, and too much ego. So if you're a person who was once a Christian or a Catholic or a Jehovah's Witness, or if you still claim that and you're going through a spiritual journey, don't beat yourself up. Enjoy it. Embrace it. That person that stands up in front of that microphone in that pulpit ain't no better than you. He don't got no right to tell you anything. You're born alone, you die alone. Walk your journey that way. And that doesn't mean you have to go out and talk about it, because it's a personal journey. If you like to talk about it, please do. But if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. And it's none of anybody's business. And again, if they come for you while you on your spiritual walk and they're messing with you and making fun of you because you're looking for God, don't think God don't see that too. What's your intention like versus what theirs is like? If you know your truth, your roots, and where you come from, fuck what they got to say to you. People lie every day. People make up shit, gossip, talk shit every day. You don't have to let it affect you. People try to judge and have some sort of conservatorship over your life. Like, that shit is sick. Don't worry about it. That's screwing them up, and they're going to have to cross that bridge one day. It's not screwing you up. If anything, it's feeding you energy. Use it. Use it. Because it's real. Use it. And starve them of the attention. Don't give into it. Without your energy, they're useless. Same thing applies to the government. Same thing applies to the preacher. Nobody's powerful. Nobody is more powerful than the group. The global consciousness. One true God, one love, one world. Nobody's more powerful than that. Nobody's more powerful than Mother Nature. No human is more powerful than the demons that are amongst us, that the control that we're under. It takes a group. It takes cooperation, collaboration, love. Bob Marley talked about it, got him killed. One world, one love. He's 100% right. 1000% right. Do you just like listening to his records because he smoked a lot of pot? Or do you like listening to his records because you listen to his lyrics and you get the message? Well, if you like him so much and you get the message, why don't you reflect that? Same thing with all the other great voices that came before us. And look where that's turned to now. So just consider the things I'm saying and don't beat yourself up. Educate yourself. Learn for yourself. Shut the world out. The people, I mean. Enjoy the bugs, the creatures, the animals, the weather. Everything God gives you right here. It didn't have to be this complicated. We made it this way. We did this. And we claimed it was advancement, but it's really not. Because to me, it's ass backwards. And almost everybody from my generation feels the same exact way. We feel like we've gone backwards. And any of the older generation that ain't all caught up in the social media shit that wasn't for their generation that they can't handle, they must have forgot. Because they should know too. They should see it too. And they complain about it. Like, I'm not saying that, but that's what I mean. People that normally wouldn't get sucked into that shit are getting sucked into that shit. And that shows how effective it is, because it's like, this isn't even your generation stuff, and you're getting wrapped up in it, and you behave like children. You know what I mean? When you didn't used to see that before so much. Not, in my opinion, not from what I saw. I'm a pretty observant person. I notice patterns, trends. And I'm it's not to, like, this the past generation, because they're a bookmark for us. They're important. All them people in the 70s was talking about the same thing. All that attitude in the 90s. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you see this big Christian reemergence. And it's so disingenuous. People that don't even, never even believed in God, or went to church, or believed in Jesus, or talked about Jesus, or talked about God. Hell, for the longest time, I talked down on God and Christianity, like, really bad, when I was coming up, when I was younger. Mocked it, made fun of it, ridiculed it, picked it apart, analyzed it. But I still acknowledged that something was there. And then through my growing up and learning and my life and everything, I started to see more similarities. That's what I mean. Like, they try to separate us from it. They're trying to separate us from God and religion and faith. They're not trying to lead us to the right place. They're trying to just keep us divided and separate us from God. And that's what I finally caught on to. I'm like, oh, you want me to be like this. And then through my relatives and learning about where I come from and reading my records that my family kept, and I started to learn more about myself and get into my spirituality, and started to get taught the ways and how we do things. And then as a mature, humble person, I could look at any other religion and say, yeah, man, we just doing the same thing. You believe in God and Jesus? I believe in God and Jesus. You believe in the Trinity? I believe in the Trinity. As above, so below. Nothing's all that different. It's your intention and the type of person you are. If you always out here hating and envy and shitting on people and gossiping and talking shit about people, man, trying to drag people down, going out your way when you don't have to, you're going to get smacked. I'm trying to tell you, karma's going to tear you up. And you might even see that other person fall that you're trying to take down, but you'll get yours too. Your heart better be pure about what you're doing. You better not be in there telling a whole lot of lies, trying to spin a narrative to make it pitch perfect for you to justify what you're doing. It'll come back. And you never know who it hits when it comes back. No different than the church. I was talking to a friend of mine about that. You got a congregation full of people that ain't progressing, and they're always got a lot of pain and heartache, a lot of shit hitting their family hard. You might want to look into who your preacher is and what the message is being put across, because that power of intention is real. Or you might want to think about how you snicker and ha 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 when you pray over people that are going through a hard time, but you don't really like them, and you just doing it because you think it's the thing to do, because it make you feel better about yourself, like you're somehow a better person because you just did that even though you didn't mean it. That's devil worship. In reality, I don't care what they paint over it. Mean what you say. Don't mean it, don't say it. And that's different than having a moment of rage and aggression and saying a bunch of shit you don't mean, than when you're supposed to be in your spiritual place and you're sitting down to lay hands and pray on somebody, and the whole time you possessing them because you talking backwards. The whole time you keeping them oppressed because you talking backwards. You don't need a voodoo doll or none of that to do all that shit, man. It's energy. It's your intention. It all comes from within. As above, so below. As within is without. Think about it. And go read and find some sources for yourself until you feel comfortable, and go do what you need to do. Go take your walk. Do your shadow work. Come clean about all your shit. That's the way. You won't get access to your gifts if you ain't doing your shadow work. If you still living in deceit and lies and fabrications and exaggerations and all of that. If you still putting on images and facades for your ego instead of your spirit. If you still being dishonest with your loved ones. You know what I mean? You have to. That, and Catholics call it confession. Same thing. They know. The answers are right there for you. You just gotta do a lot for yourself though. Because they're not just handing it out. They're not handing out the truth. So do your shadow work. Challenge yourself to be better. It doesn't mean you can't have your vices, man. Everybody got vices. We're all here. We're all addicted to something. That ain't what you're getting judged off of. You're getting judged off your heart, your intent. Know better, do better. Ask for forgiveness for the rest. And work on it. It don't mean stop working on it. I smoke. I drink too much caffeine. Stuff I shouldn't do. But I've also given a lot of things up in my life. And then I've gained a bunch of things by being true to myself and being myself and not worrying about what other people think. And that's freedom. That's where I found my freedom. They could kill me or lock me up tomorrow. I'm going to die free because I seen the truth. I know the truth. And I know a lot of people out here are full of shit. So don't worry about them. Worry about you. Don't feed them the same energy that they're feeding you when they ridicule you for what you believe. Because now you're giving them the energy instead of them giving you the energy. That's why these phones are dangerous too. It's a mirror. All this energy on one place. Now you don't need them. You just pick up your phone. So think about it. And always, I don't care what you believe in. I wish you the best in your spiritual walk, your spiritual journey. I hope you find self-love the most. That's what I hope you find the most. Be you. Don't sit there and juggle with who you are and what you like and what you're into and what you want to be and what interests you and what makes you curious and how you want to live your life. If you want to disappear tomorrow and start your journey with no destination, do it. You only here once. As you are right now, you're only going to be here once. Just be intentful with what you do. And be careful with who you let tell you what. Even me. Because it's your walk. It's your journey. And during my journey, this was a lot of dark shit, a lot of dark times, a lot of the wrong thing. And for some of us, it's just par for the course. And in the society we live in, it's like landmines everywhere we walk. Sad but true. But regardless, we got to be here, so we can't use that as an excuse because I don't see it changing anytime soon. Everybody's gonna fall for the dog and pony show. I already see it coming. They're gonna vote for a Democrat, just like they do every time. It's a relief. It's gonna be the same bullshit. It's just gonna get quiet. And then we're all gonna be so happy to be rid of the last guy that we're not gonna complain, even though if you actually look at it, it ain't different. It's gonna be exactly the same, I promise. That's why they're all corrupt. They're all getting round up. And we're looking at the politicians like they're the only ones. Anything that's an extension of your government is fucking corrupt. Anything state, fed, anything is fucking corrupt. Most of the churches that push their narrative are corrupt. Those big ones. It's all corruption. All the agencies. All the checks and balances. It's all corrupt. It's all broken. It all needs to be fixed. And it's not going to get fixed with the current pool. So we need to push for something else. That's the only thing that's going to change. But that's a different topic. But when you start going through your spiritual journey, you'll see this. You'll see these things. You'll wake up to these things fully. So it's a lot of just depending on how you got raised. I got raised spiritually, so it wasn't that hard for me to see. Everybody can see. But it's just those things we cling to that put us in boxes. You weren't born to be in a box. You were born to be free and be yourself. So just remember that. Love yourself, love others, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Think positively about yourself, think positively about others. Stuff will work out for you, I promise.